Hello everyone, welcome to lesson 10 of the Health and Wellness of Older Adults course. So today we're going to be looking at nutrition. Okay, so it's going to get really exciting. So first of all, there are over 40 nutrients that play a role in our health. Okay, that's quite a bit. Water happens to be the most essential element in our body. And I think you guys have heard this before. There's a certain percentage, and I hear so many different people will say different things. Some people, well, it's usually 70-something% of our body is water, right? Actually, let me see what Google has to say, because I hear something different every single time. Hold on. So at this point, we have up to 60% of the human body is water. The brain and heart are composed of 73% water. The lungs are composed of about 83% water. The skin contains 64% water. The muscles and the kidneys contain 79% water. And the bones have about 31% water. Okay, so hopefully that puts it in perspective a little bit. Water is the most essential element of the body, where so much of us is just water, especially our most essential component, like organs in our body, are composed of a lot of water. Okay, like the brain and heart and whatnot. Let's just move forward. Okay, so essential dietary components. First of all, we need to look at calories. Okay, so caloric requirements diminish with age. As we get older, well, usually if you starting from babies, as we get older, we're going to require more and more calories to sustain our bodies. But as we age and we get even older, we require less and less calories to sustain our bodies. Okay, so the proportion of body fat increases and muscle mass decreases. Okay, and this is why we don't require as many calories. Okay, but also this is kind of a result of having less physical activity as well. Okay, so if we were able to have a lot more physical activity, especially if we were able to lift more weights, then we wouldn't have so much of a decrease in our muscle mass, and we would actually require more calories to sustain our bodies. So it really just sort of depends on the muscle mass that you are maintaining in your body and your metabolic rate. Okay, so your metabolic rate kind of really just depends, or that is going to dictate whether or not you need more calories or you need less calories. So if you have a really high metabolism, usually that happens in the younger years. So if you have really high metabolism, you're going to require more calories. If you have your metabolism is decreasing, then you're going to require less calories. Okay. So water. Healthy everyone requires water. Okay, so healthy older adults need 1.5 to 2 quarts of water each day. Okay, older adults have less body water and higher chances of dehydration. So they shouldn't really just rely on whether or not they're thirsty to take in more water. Okay, they should be taking in water regularly. Okay, so proteins. Now we're going to look at some essential dietary components. So protein needs are increased in times of stress, okay, or during recovery from exercise, or from, recovery from anything really, but especially during exercise, okay. And then healthy older adults generally need less protein than younger adults or younger people, so when they were younger. Carbohydrates. This is a major source of calories because they are inexpensive, okay, and they're easy to store, chew, to digest. Carbs are everywhere, okay. There are complex carbs and simple carbs. So your complex carbs are the beans, the potatoes, the grains. These might be thought of as the healthy carbs. And then your simple carbs are the sugars, the refined carbs, okay? So not so healthy usually. All right, so fats. All animal and plant foods contain fat, all right? Cholesterol is only in animal products, so our liver generally makes what it needs. No more than 30% of our calories should be from fat, although you want to try to get more plant-based fats because we want to stay away from the trans fats. You find trans fats in animal products. And trans fats, or also like the not necessarily animal products. That's more saturated types of fats, but your trans fats usually come from a lot of the processed stuff that we have, like margarine and things like that. We'll have a lot of trans fats. And then, but anyway, so many plant-based fats are actually very good for you. And those would be what you want to put in that 30% of your calories. Okay, so anyway, then we got fiber. So the ingestible part, fiber is the indigestible, part of the plant. Okay, because you don't actually absorb fiber. It doesn't get absorbed by your body. It really just stays in your intestines. But what it does, a lot of good things for your digestion. Okay, so we have soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. So your soluble fibers, this is the stuff that's going to get to be dissolved in water, basically. So these ones are the oats, beans, and things like that, and that type of soluble fiber will help really well with heart disease. Also, it helps with cholesterol problems as well, if you have high LDL cholesterol. Okay, so your insoluble fiber is going to help with constipation and things like that. Okay, so most older adults do not get enough fiber in their diets. So it's very important for them, especially for their digestion, because they can get, constipated and have a lot. They're more likely to have or be susceptible to having a lot of chronic illnesses such as heart disease. Okay, so vitamins. We got your vitamin A, vitamin B complex, vitamin C, D, E, and K. Okay, and then we have minerals that are very essential. Calcium, chlorine, chromium, copper, iodine, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, selenium, sodium, and zinc. These are all essential for our body. Our body needs them. Some of these our body can produce on their own or given, certain things in our food and whatnot, but many of these we have to just consume. Okay, it has to be given, it has to come from our diet. Okay. All right, so MyPlate.gov is a graphic representation, or you can find it at MyPlate.gov. So this is a graphic representation of a balanced plate, okay, with half the plate is taken up by fruits and vegetables, okay, and then we have the other half, which is taken up by grains and proteins, okay. It also includes a little small circle on the side for dairy, suggesting maybe a glass of milk or some yogurt, even some eggs. Eggs is tricky. Sometimes it's considered as part of the protein. Sometimes they consider part of the dairy. But anyway, MyPlate does have suggestions like enjoy your food but eat less and things like that. If you are very interested in seeing exactly like what is offered and what they can educate you on at myplate.gov. It is a government website and it has plenty of information about dietary guidelines for Americans. And this is just a nice balanced diet type of a plate, especially for older adults who may need some guidance as to what they should be consuming. Okay, so the study of diet and nutrition. It is difficult to study diet and nutrition because food varies so widely in how it's prepared, where it's grown, how old it is it organic, is it not organic, things like that, right? And people are also very different, so foods are going to have different effects on all of us, right? So food records, dietary recalls, and dietary histories are methods for studying diet, okay, and all have benefits and drawbacks. Okay, so there are nationwide surveys that are conducted, and they are the most respected measures of adult nutrition. So these surveys are used to determine the prevalence of diseases and serve as the standard for height, weight, blood pressure, and things like that. So in most surveys, we should also be mindful of the fact that there's probably going to be bias. People may not answer everything accurately. Sometimes people tend to overestimate the good stuff that they consume and they underestimate the bad stuff. Okay, so we sort of have to be mindful of that. I know I do that. If you ask me about my diet all day, I'll tell you all the healthy things I've been eating, and I might talk about the cupcake I had today, but I'm definitely not going to mention the fact that I had 3. Okay, so we're not going to do this exercise right now, but this would be something fun that you can probably, if you are interested, if you want to have something fun to do with your family, you can go ahead and work on these things. Let's move forward. So there have been major changes that have taken place in the diet, okay, or what we use as the diet over the last 50 years. Okay, so we do so many things now that are not necessarily very natural at all with our food, and food should probably be more natural. That's probably the one thing that should be natural. So anyway, we use microwaves, we use prepackaged foods, we ship fruits and vegetables across the world. So I mean, I don't know if you guys have noticed, sometimes like we'll have pomegranates in the winter, or like around this time when pomegranates are not in season right now. We're not supposed, like, we shouldn't actually see pomegranates in stores until like August or September or something like that. Not right now, but I know there are many other things that we get from other countries that are imported from other countries all the time. Okay, and like all that time of like everything that goes into shipping food is not always the best, okay, or it may or may not be the best thing for that food, especially prepackaged foods, and then microwaves and things like that, and then of course using a lot of pesticides and whatever, everything else that we have started to put in our foods, the chemicals, the antibiotics and everything like that we put in our meat and all of that, all goes in, that has all been just developed over the last 50 years. So our diets have really changed compared to like what our grandparents probably ate, okay? So it's been a huge change over the years. So we get actually a lot of calories. Okay, most of us consume more calories than we should, but most of us are actually still malnourished, okay, because we're still deficient in certain nutrients that we actually require, like calcium and other minerals or other vitamins that are not actually in our food anymore, okay? And this is especially true in the older adults, the older populations. Okay, so obesity. The book says that we are fatter around our waists, which is the least healthy place to keep your weight, okay? Obesity is linked to many chronic illnesses, but we are unsure if it is weight alone or other factors are related to that, okay? So obesity or overweightness, some other reasons for that could be the fact that we are malnourished. When you are obese or you are overweight, it's very likely that you are that way because maybe you are malnourished. You might have a lot of toxins and whatnot that have been sort of discussed in the previous slide, with radiation from the microwaves and like pesticides or like other things that are injected into our food. You may have a lot of toxins going around in your body that you're holding in, the fatty tissue. And that's usually where the toxins are stored, okay, in our fatty tissues. So, and if you are not nourished very well, if you don't have all of those vitamins and minerals and everything that your body really needs, that is also going to lead to, it would be expected, I think, that it would lead to a variety of different ailments, other chronic illnesses that you could develop. So malnutrition. Malnourished people use body tissues for energy. Body tissues for energy, okay? Many have slower metabolic rates and reduced function of their immune system, okay? Because they're not getting all the nutrition that they require to sustain their immune system, to build a strong immune system, okay? Nor do they have all the nutrition that's required to sustain their metabolism. So their metabolic rates have slowed down. Many older adults are often malnourished because of difficulty eating, also shopping, preparing for food. Sometimes they're just alone, they don't have anyone to help, or they might even lack an appetite. Many older adults actually just have no desire to really eat much. I know that's how my grandfather was. He just was never hungry. He complained about that all the time. He's like, I know I'm supposed to eat, but I don't want to. I'm not hungry. I feel full. So, many older adults have higher nutrition requirements, and they're lacking in a lot of nutrition, and that's causing a lot of other issues. So, some common nutritional problems. First of all, we have unintentional weight loss. So unintentional weight loss could be tied to many health issues such as mental, physical, oral, social. Okay, if older adults simply lack appetite, favorite foods or social situations might help them. Okay, with my grandfather, it was like he was always complaining about not, wanting to eat or anything like that. But if there was like an event, like a family gathering or some kind of party, or it was a holiday or something like that, or even if I just like met up with him and said, let's go get lunch, even though all in the way he would complain about it, about not, wanting food, but he still eats. When everyone else around him is eating and he's feeling it, he's feeling good, he consumes some food. So that helps a lot. Supplements, bars or shakes, things like that, like nutrition bars, those can be helpful also in encouraging older adults to take in additional calories. Also, they I mean, they have a lot of the nutrition that you need as well, even though it may be more synthetic. But okay, cancer. So some foods protect against cancer, and some may actually promote cancer. So minerals and supplements are not consistent at reducing the risks of cancer, but fruits and vegetables, especially raw fruits and vegetables, may actually reduce risk of cancer. And I think a lot of that goes back to they're in their most purest form. And these fruits and vegetables have live, living enzymes. Like if they're raw, they're still alive. Okay, these fruits and vegetables, they're alive right now. So consuming them would actually help nourish you in the best way possible. Okay, so anyway, cooked tomatoes can also help with prostate. Soy can help with breast cancer. High-fat diets and those with a lot of additives and preservatives are probably bad. Okay, most likely they're bad. So those are probably things that we should stay away from. Cancer increases the need for nutrients, but can often decrease one's appetite. Okay, so something to watch out for. Okay, so for osteoporosis, vitamin D and calcium are so important for strengthening the bones and reducing fractures. Supplements are recommended, like multivitamins and calcium and vitamin D vitamins as well, from postmenopausal women and older men whose dietary intake is very low. So if they're not eating very much, then they should definitely take this. Also diabetes. So one of the greatest contributors to type 2 diabetes is obesity. Consistency in eating is very important. Okay, the DASH diet is recommended here, and high fiber diets are also recommended here. So in a few slides we will go over what the DASH diet is. DASH diet, here it is. Okay, so the DASH diet is going to, of course, include all the same food groups that we saw in the MyPlate.gov site or slide. And as you can see, the DASH diet definitely does wonders on what's going on into your body, okay? Providing you with all essential nutrients and helping your body get rid of a lot of things that it doesn't need in there, okay? So what is the DASH diet? Okay, so your DASH recommendation of fruits and vegetables will be 8 to 10 daily servings. While your American average daily serving of fruits and vegetables is about 3 servings, the DASH diet recommends a lot more fruits and vegetables, preferably raw. Okay, then let's move down. So dairy, milk and dairy products. How much should you be having? So the American average, or what people are normally eating, would be about 1.7 daily servings of this. The DASH recommendation would be 3 daily servings. Okay, and then your calcium intake. What people are usually consuming would be around 970 milligrams on a daily basis, but what you should consume on the DASH diet would be 1,250 milligrams per day. Okay, so this photo right here should emphasize or just show you how important drinking water is, and how almost every single drink out there, even the ones that claim to have vitamins and things that are really good for you and whatever, nothing beats water. Okay, so soda has clearly a ton of sugar. Okay, so soda is at the very top with having, well, actually soda is not at the very top. Juice is at the top. Okay, soda is underneath juice. Okay, so the worst that you can put into your body, okay, drink-wise, would be more like juice. like the juice that you have that we buy from the store, juice like apple juice, orange juice, fruit juices, punch, stuff like that, right? That kind of stuff has more sugar than soda, okay? It has more calories than soda, and it's going to take you over an hour of brisk walking to get it out of your system, to burn it off, okay? Soda will take just under an hour to get, it out of your system. Energy drinks are also not very good for you at all. They have a ton of sugar. They have more sugar than soda. They have more calories than soda, and it will take you more time of brisk walking to burn it off, to burn off those calories. Okay. Even vitamin water is not the best. Okay, vitamin water still has a good amount of sugar, and it contains over 100 calories, okay, and it's going to take you around 30 minutes or so to just burn it out of your system. So it really doesn't pay to drink these energy drinks unless you really need the calories, I guess. For the most part, you should always opt for water. Water is the healthiest. Okay. So what are sugary drinks? These are sugary drinks. Okay. Your sodas, your fruit-flavored sodas, sports drinks, energy drinks, vitamin water, and your sweetened teas. Okay. So dietary considerations for some diseases and conditions. So for heart disease is related to a high intake of saturated fat. Okay, so obesity increases the risk of heart disease. Omega-3 fatty acids can actually lower your risks of heart disease. And the DASH diet can actually help prevent and treat heart disease. Okay, now dysphagia. This is when you have difficulty swallowing, and it can be treated by making the food easier to swallow, like, blending it, mashing it, making it pudding, making it liquid, whatever you gotta do to make it easy to just get down there. Older adults can also learn other ways to making their food a little bit easier to swallow as well. So artificial eating feeds directly into a vein, stomach, or intestines. This is when you get your IV stuff, like at the hospital, right? Saline solution and other nutrition, or any kind of just anything else going in there. So this can be short-term or this can be long-term. It requires supervision, of course, it should be administered by a nurse, an RN, and it needs to be supervised by a physician, okay? And then careful with the checks for nutrition balance in these things. There are risks and there are benefits that need to be considered. Okay, so all right, the effects of drug use on nutritional status. Okay, so medications can have many effects on eating and nutrition. Alcohol, those are empty calories. Okay, it's just just completely empty calories. You don't get any kind of benefit from it whatsoever. Alcohol damages the stomach, liver, and the pancreas. Cigarette smoking increases the need for more nutrition in your body and the need to eat good balanced foods. Okay. Now, older adults need to be aware of possible drug interaction with, of course, alcohol and with different foods. Food-drug interaction. Okay, so, and because this is the thing. The thing is, many older adults may be a bit more sensitive to, taking drugs with or without food and whatnot. More sensitive than maybe we would, even though I know I'm quite sensitive. So this has to do with like maybe you shouldn't take drugs on an empty stomach, or maybe you do need to take drugs on with food, because that's going to help you absorb it and it's going to work properly. Okay. So vitamin and mineral supplements. It is controversial if older adults should be recommended to take supplements. Okay. And the reason is, or as far as I know, the reason is, it could have effects on the kidneys. And many older adults at a certain age, you're already at least, you're losing a lot of kidney function as we age. That's natural. But so at a certain age, once you get quite old, whether you've ever had any, risk of having kidney disease or anything like that at all, you may just out of like wear and tear of the kidneys throughout your whole life, you might actually have stage 3 kidney disease. And so you do need to actually, a lot of older adults do need to be careful about the supplements they take and also the medications they take, especially given the fact that many are on a lot of other prescription medication that's already going to be hard on the kidneys. So taking additional supplements is just going to add to that. Okay, so it may or may not be a good idea. More than likely, it should be discussed with the physician to see if it, is going to be okay for their body, or if it's going to be too hard on their kidneys or what. So studies have been inconclusive about this idea of whether or not they should be taking a bunch of supplements or not. And even everyone else, you should get most of the vitamins and minerals that your body requires through our food. Okay, I know that the way we've changed food over the last 50 years, a lot of our nutrition is taken out of the food. Nutrition, or food, used to be more densely packed with more nutrition back in the olden days. So it is more difficult for us to be able to get all of the nutrition that we need, all the vitamins and minerals from our food, but we should definitely be trying to find the healthiest options for all the food that we consume. And supplements are definitely helpful, but especially if you have a deficiency, but I feel like we should not rely on them. And even though the studies, or there are debates, studies have been inconclusive, and then there are people who assume, or who believe that supplements are completely useless, and then there are people who swear by them. Okay, so there's that. So anyway, here are some factors that affect nutritional status. All right, so we got physiological factors, psychological factors. So physiological factors are having to do with the body, psychological factors with the mind, educational factors, economic factors, like what is your economic social status? Do you have money? Do you not have money? Insurance, things like that. So can you afford the best food? Can you not afford the best food? Living arrangements, cultural attitudes and behaviors. Some cultures, many people in other cultures will not take certain foods or will not eat certain foods, okay, that they might actually need. And in those situations, maybe they do require supplements. Anyway, and then there are also environmental factors as well. So nutrition assessment. Federal regulations require a nutritional screening when older adults use home health services, hospitals, or nursing homes. So oral and dental problems can be associated with poor nutrition. So it's not always just not taking care of your teeth, but it can also be because you are not, eating properly. And then the Nutrition Screening Initiative has a screening tool for older adults. So nutrition education and counseling for older adults. Physicians may not be the best resource for nutrition and education counseling. Cannot be a one-time deal. It has to be long-term. So this is kind of why that physicians are not necessarily the best here, because they may give, resourceful nutritional information, but it can't just be a one-time thing, like a prescription or like eat this food and then you should be okay. It's more of like you need to develop an actual diet. So older adults do best with a lot of support from their family, their friends, if they're part of like a senior center or any kind of association, a club, adult daycare, something like that, that provides a lot of structure and a lot of support for nutrition and helps them meet their nutritional needs. Also, it's important for those who are advocating for better nutrition need to really understand the cultural differences among different older adults so that you can give better education and better information about nutrition. So what are some nutrition programs available? So the Administration on Aging allocates funds to help pay for nutrition programs. The congregate meal programs or the Meals on Wheels, same thing in the next bullet point. But congregate meal programs are typically community-based. So this is congruent with the Meals on Wheels program where, but it usually happens when hot meals are delivered or provided at like adult daycares and like senior centers and things like that, like rec centers and places where people can gather. Okay, so this is part of like a more community-based long-term care program for older adults. And then you have the in-home programs, okay, home-based programs. And this would be the Meals on Wheels, where hot meal is delivered to an older adult, usually 5 days a week. Okay. Older adults who are participating in these programs are often at high risk for nutritional deficiencies, and the programs that are geared to these programs are focused on solving this problem. Okay, so of course more money and more programs are always needed, but there are a lot of charity programs out there, and then there are grants by the federal government that are provided to the state, and the state is able to allocate that money to these different nonprofit programs that actually support this initiative. So if you have any questions, just please let me know. I hope that you learned a lot from this, and I will see you guys in the next lesson.